When it comes to elections, we encourage everyone, of course, to vote, but now there's a bill that would allow 16 and 17-year-olds to cast a ballot. Here to talk about that, Assemblywoman Lorena Gonzalez. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Now, we're not talking about presidential elections or city council races. Pretty specific here.
It's very specific. We thought that it'd be most appropriate, if we're going to lower the voting age, to do it in the elections that affect 16 and 17-year-olds most. And those are, of course, school board elections and community college district board elections. The things that affect their everyday life and will affect their everyday life for the next few years.
And why are you proposing this now?
You know, I've been kind of playing with this idea for the last few years, and I had a ton of students come to me, and there's a variety of reasons why. One, we know that we have a civic engagement problem, and there's this idea that registering to vote when you're 18, when a lot's going on in your life, you're graduating from high school, maybe moving out of your parents' home, it's a transitional time, and maybe people aren't as focused. Whereas 16, they tend to be in school, ready to go, and learning about U.S. history every single day. The other reason is young people don't feel like they have a say in what's going on. You know, a lot of them have jobs, they're paying taxes, and obviously they go to school every day with decisions that are made by a board where sometimes not only they don't have a vote, but their parents maybe in this region don't have a vote either because they may not be eligible to vote.
So it's kind of on the philosophy of let's get them early.
Let's get them early, and you know, it's really based in science. We know that 16-year-olds have the same cognitive abilities that 18-year-olds do when they have a time period to make those decisions. So science tells us there's hot and cold decision making. Hot decision making is that impulse decision making, kind of like when they're driving. Maybe they shouldn't be driving at 16 because their brain is still developing. But we're talking about cold decision making, the ability to take in information, to analyze it, to make a rational choice between two options. They're just as able to do that as an 18-year-old or a 20-year-old or even a 22-year-old. So we know that the science says the 16-year-old's ready. Let's give them that opportunity.
Now, critics, though, they disagree. They say 16 is still just too young, not mature enough to make an educated decision.
You know, and that I think is what people kind of have this gut check reaction, right? And a lot of it's on personal experience. If you have an immature 16-year-old, you know, I happen to have a very mature 16-year-old, so I see it differently. But the same thing could be said of an 18-year-old or a 20-year-old. There are probably 50-year-olds that shouldn't be voting. Most of them don't vote. They choose not to participate. And this will be the same. A 16-year-old who cares about what's happening in their community, who understands the nexus between their vote and electing somebody, and who will go out and inform themselves, will be the ones who are voting.
And where does the bill go from here?
Well, you know, it's a special bill because we have to change our Constitution. So it's kind of a tough pull. First, I'll have to get it through committee. And then on the floor of the Assembly, it will require a 2/3 vote because it's a constitutional amendment. Same with the Senate. And then it would go on the ballot in 2018 if I'm successful.
So we still have a little bit of time.
I have a few years to get it through, and I think it'll take some. I mean, this is a new idea and kind of putting it out there. And although we have other countries that allow 16-year-olds to vote, and some even local areas in the United States that already allow it, Tacoma, Maryland, for example, to say for a whole state this is something we should do, it's going to take some time, I think, to convince them. But I have a lot of really motivated 15 and 16 and 17-year-olds who are helping me work on this.
And let's talk about another piece of legislation that affects young people and parents too, and we're talking about the legislation to protect students' privacy, AB 2097. Talk about that one, because this one here, a lot of people are very concerned about it.
Right. You know, and as a parent, this is really, a lot of times I do legislation as a parent, but this is I'm a mama legislation. So we just found out that a federal court requires the California Department of Education to dump all the student information to a third party, a nonprofit. It includes social security numbers and medical information. And there's nothing we can do about it on the state level except we're trying to opt out, and we're trying to encourage people to opt out before April 1st. But it begged a larger question. Why do schools have so much personal data? We can find no rational reason that schools collect social security number of children. And there's no need for them to be entering that data, to keep that data. And so we introduced a bill this week to say, hey, let's review what schools are bringing in particular, forbid them from even collecting social security numbers from our children. We don't need them to be victims of you know, identity theft and them not even find out about it for 10 years.
Yeah, we have enough of that going on already.
We have enough, and we really have to think about who we're giving our social security number to. And of course, if it's on a form to the school, you tend to write it down and not think about it. But it's time to stop and think, what exactly is that used for? Why is it necessary?
And so parents have until April, though, to opt out of this.
The lawsuit action, yes. People have until April 1st. They can write and it has to be handwritten and sent in to the judge in Northern California. We've put that link on our website, and every website we can find. The California Department of Education is very concerned, but this is a federal judge, and this is the order that was made.
Great. Well, that's another one we'll keep a close eye on. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hey, I'm Melissa Masiha with this week's San Diego Newsmakers for 10 News.